Good afternoon. It's Tech Tuesdays, December 11th, 2018. Last couple shows of the year. Hope everybody out there's had a great 2018 as we get close to the end. Hopefully your technology is working for you instead of you working for your technology. I'm Randy Fling, your host, a guy who's been around technology since forever when he went to Georgia Tech. And I stay pretty close to today's technology in a lot of different ways. I go to most of the demos around Atlanta and other parts of the country. I go to the pitch competitions, see who's winning, see whose apps are hot, see which technology is going to keep us moving into the future. So here on Tech Tuesdays, we bring you exciting guests, we bring you hot products, and we let you know about events that are coming up that you can attend that can keep you in the know. Today, my first guest is Waldron McCritty. He's with an organization called Be Lux, LLC, and I'm excited to have him here today. He's going to tell you about a platform that's about to launch that I think many of you will be very, very interested in. Without further ado, how you doing today?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm great. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity.
Well, Waldron, let's get right in it. Tell us a little bit about Be Lux.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Be Lux, as the name says, it's luxury. And it came from my passion with luxury lifestyle and luxury brands. And so I started probably about 10 years ago building a luxury brand. And so I also had a passion for technology. And so I decided to merge that passion for luxury and technology together into one platform. And so a luxury lifestyle brand, and we have an on-demand marketplace. And so that's where the technology of it comes in.
Well, tell me a little bit more about your background. I understand we all like to enjoy the luxury lifestyle, but just tell me a little bit about your background over these past 10 years before you really got to the point where you said, let me launch this business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so my background is definitely not a traditional luxury lifestyle, so much so I spent some time in the military. So I was deployed quite a few places overseas, spent some time.
Thank you for your service.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And so during that time is kind of where I realized some of my passions, and I was given the opportunity to come back and go to school on the GI Bill. And so that's where I kind of honed in my engineering and technology skills. And so my family's from Africa, so I have some African heritage, and I was able to experience some different cultures and technology through that as well.
Exciting. Good deal. What school did you go to? Just got to ask.
Actually, I moved here to go to Georgia Tech. So I always wanted to go to Georgia Tech. I left the military, came here to Georgia to go to Georgia Tech, ended up failing physics. And so I ended up graduating from Southern Polytech.
Great school also.
Great school.
Absolutely. Southern Polytech is not a joke.
Southern Tech.
I've got a lot of friends who have gone to Southern Tech, and in this day and age, it's all about what you do with what you learn and how you do it. Yeah, I don't want to say some classes that I didn't do so well in either.
Physics
but,
is one of my favorite classes, but
yeah, no, some of those classes I can get very tough at Georgia Tech. And depending on your instructor, how well it's really explained to you makes a lot of difference. But okay, so let's talk about the product. Let's talk about your baby that's about to launch.
Oh man, I'm so excited and so passionate about it. And so not just for what I'm doing with it, but also what's going on in the industry, on-demand and on-demand services. And you see right now a huge explosion with mobile services. Right now, mobile technology, mobile phones, cell phones, the technology everyone has in their hands and their pockets carrying around with them is huge. And people are starting to realize that. And so you have like the Ubers and all these other different apps and services that people are able to utilize at their fingertips. And so we're capitalizing on that. And so basically it's luxury services at your fingertips, whether it's walking your dog, whether it's your food delivery, cleaning your house. We're cultivating and curating all of these luxury services from multiple different sources, such as transportation, lodging. You got Airbnb is another huge one.
Okay.
So all these different services in one platform.
Okay, so we're here in Atlanta. Are you launching it? Is it going to be intended for the local market first, or?
Yes, I mean, and so I spent almost 10 years now that I've been in Atlanta, kind of working on this idea that I've had, and it's been kind of growing and bubbling to the surface now, and so now it's gotten to that kind of critical point. And so absolutely, with the Super Bowl coming up, we're looking really very much forward to launching at the Super Bowl. That's our actual next monumental milestone for us.
Great. Well, let me ask this. For the Super Bowl, most of the people will be from out of town. So do you have a plan? And again, forgive me. I'm going to ask some questions that go into your business plan. 'Cause
Absolutely.
here, I like to talk about
dig.
the technology, but what's real relevant as a businessman for me and businessman for you is how people really dig a little deeper into, and so that the people listening can learn, some of the things you got to be, again, very wary of. I've been blessed to have been around the country with Damon John, with the Miller Lite Show for about 5 years, like 5 cities, listening to 7 pitches in each city. And so I've heard good questions. I know what people look at. I know what people who are, better at it than me tend to say about these things. And I'm invested in several small businesses myself, and I've seen them doing well. I've seen some of the challenges, in the technology space specifically. So anyway, with that caveat, I'm going to dig into the business side of it. How are you reaching out to people so that when they get here, they know about your services? Because the people really coming and spend big money are the ones coming from out of town.
Absolutely. And the statistics are staggering looking at the numbers that are going to be here for the Super Bowl. And so we're reaching out to every possible marketing channel that we can and getting our hands out. And so right now we're involved in as many pitch competitions and raising as much funding. The big push is on marketing. And so with the software as a service platform, a SaaS platform, once you have that software built, the next big push is marketing, getting the word out to as many people in as many different channels and methods as you can. And so from social media to radio, television, I've actually just talked to some local television trying to get some ad space on TV during the Super Bowl, print media, as many different places that we can reach our audience, as possible.
Well, cool. And so give me an idea of what your messaging is like that you're.
And so what we want is the traditional on-demand service user, and some people have those services already, like Uber or Postmates for food delivery and these other services that they might be used to in their area where they're from. So they're coming here and they might be looking either to use those services or looking for something new. And so we're kind of wanting to launch and give them another opportunity to say, hey, this is something we're used to, but now maybe we have another opportunity to maybe try something different too, though, in the same manner that they're used to and accustomed to with like Uber and stuff like that as far as transportation or food delivery services.
Yeah, because I mean that's a lot of people, I think certainly millennials, are making the decision between, do I have a car or do I simply be an Uber and Lyft baby, the rest of my life, and is there a purpose in having a car? And I was out in San Francisco at Uber's headquarters, and I talked to some brothers and sisters out there, and one of them was explaining to me, as you mentioned it, they're a transportation platform, not a ride-sharing company. And I think I may have mentioned it previously, but in 3 years, they hope that if you're in downtown San Francisco and the traffic's bad and you're trying to get to an airport, that the choices that come up on your phone from Uber are, number one, you can grab a scooter that's sitting next door, take it to the municipal transportation, get off at this stop, and we'll have a car waiting for you there, and that'll cost you this amount. Or you can have a flying car come get you if you're really in a hurry, because that's literally what they're doing. And, or the third choice could be a regular Uber. You got to wait, X amount of time for it to get there and fight you back out of traffic. Which way do you want to transport yourself? And things. They also are as equally into, because there's an Uber Freight, which I didn't know, and I met some folk with Uber Freight. So they want to move things and people anywhere in the world in the most economical, best way for that person based on their decision. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I apologize. I got so excited when you said something I wasn't planning on it. I was actually just talking before the show, but Uber elevates. And so I actually had, and I was actually on a call.
What is that? What I don't even know what Uber elevates is.
You mentioned it, and when you mentioned it, that's why I got
Freight, Uber. Go ahead.
So the elevate. Air. And so,
the air. Oh, so I didn't know the name of it.
It's called Uber Elevate, and so I'm actually involved in a program with that as well. And so it's actually through Georgia Tech. So Georgia Tech has the Advanced Technology Development Center, ATDC for entrepreneurs. Yep. And so I met another company that's developing a platform like that. And so for our on-demand services, we look at, like I said, Ubers and the different services in different sectors, and one of them being the Uber Elevate. And so I have a company that we're looking at partnership, and that's in a long-term kind of. We just got off a call with FAA, and so we're actually in the initial stages of getting our regulations for aircraft experimental aircraft certification.
Okay.
So it's pretty exciting times. I think it's pretty exciting. I'm excited about it.
Well, I think we're talking about flying cars, and people got to realize that people are like
the
him.
Time is now.
Are really doing this now.
The time is now.
So that they're going to be bringing it to us, and certainly that's a luxury. I mean, obviously that'll be the most expensive version of the example I gave would be have the car fly to you. There's this parking spot right here. It's going to land in, and you go get in it and fly away. But it's not. I think self-driving cars. I can remember, thinking that they were far off, and I've driven several self-driving cars. I mean, a Tesla, a Cadillac, a Genesis. And they're all self-driving. I mean, and they work good. I mean, I guess they're not quite ready for prime time. I wanted to sit in the back seat and just read the newspaper and kick it a little bit, watch my Instagram feed or something. But I did stay in the driver's seat, and but they all performed very well. Really enjoyed the Tesla. I have to say was the best. The Genesis was very good as well. But yeah, so we're there. Now we just
Absolutely.
need Tesla that flies. Is Tesla working on anything flying? It seems like he would be.
I don't believe so. And even Uber, they're working on their design as well. And so we actually looked at some competitions where we were considering entering, but we feel we have a better platform than we don't want to give it to Uber right now. And so
okay.
We're excited about our
all right.
Yeah.
I love it. Can I invest? Thank you.
We'll talk about that offline.
We'll talk about that offline. All right. That's the whole ecosystem for people who, you got to understand there's three things that really go together in technology. One is the tech, the product. Two is the money, because, tech companies don't have no money, and they don't, the people creating these ideas have no capital. We were blessed. Robert Strickland was on the show 2 weeks ago from Spoke Hub, and which I have on my phone, haven't used in the last few days. I need to get back on. But they were able to raise their capital 90% plus from African Americans in Raleigh-Durham, starting with the traditional African American owned bank in Raleigh. And so, I think sometimes that's important for us all to think, because some people think if you're not of a different persuasion, you don't have a rich uncle, how do you get money? Well, come with a strong business plan. There's a lot of business-minded people, other business owners, who have some capital to invest. Regulation CF now allows people to raise $1.07 million per year from people who, $500 at a time, $200 at a time on a platform, that's internet-based, and people go to and share and can promote through newsletters, promote how you choose to raise up to $1 million. Once upon a time, until a few years ago, the only people you could raise money from like that were people who were what they call accredited investors. Namely, they were making at least $150,000 a year or worth $1 million. But today, everybody in the room, my director over there, my assistant, my sound man, everybody could give me $200 legally through a platform. I mean, you do have to do some filings and so forth with that. So, it's the technology, it's the money, and then it's the management team. And those are the three things that really make a business, either a tech business, go or not go.
That's amazing. And one of the things that I'm very passionate about is our community. And so when you touched on that right there, and there's so many challenges in any business, and that's even more so in our community, in the African-American community. And that's something I'm as passionate about with my business that I am in helping the community and being involved in the community as well. And so programs like that, I've heard a little bit about it, and I'm actually researching it a lot more, because I feel like it's really an opportunity.
Share some information with you on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a great opportunity for members of our community to get involved at a smaller level, but that really can open up some really big doors.
Right. No, and I mean, I think it's unique to technology in that people who start a business selling clothes, you need a certain amount of money to open the shop, and then you start receiving revenue, like, within the first 30 days. If you're doing consulting business, as soon as you go sign up a client, you start receiving income. A technology business, unlike any of those, there is this long period of time that can be from a few months to 5 years. I mean, Amazon, I don't know if they're profitable now, but they were never profitable for like over 20 years, never made a profit, but they were able to stay in business because of capitalization. So, it's a very important part of technology. And this wraps up our first segment of the show. But we're going to be back in 2 minutes for our second segment. We're going to have a second guest, and then we'll all come back together to close out the show. See you in 2 minutes.
D. Collins, your spiritual leader and life and relationship coach. And I'm so excited because I have an awesome show that's just for you right here on Rolling Out Live. Yes, that's it, Rolling Out Live, every Tuesday from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. You were going to get insight because when D speaks, you think. We're going to have real talk about life and relationships because we got real problems. We got some real issues. But guess what? When D speaks, you think you're going to come up with the real solution about your life and relationships. So I want you to join me. Don't forget, every Tuesday from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on Rolling Out Live, and I have a special segment just for you. It's called Dear D. That means you can ask your questions. You can get insight about your life with specificity. So I want you to join me because it's going to be live. And follow me on Facebook at Dunamis D. And you can also hit me up or follow me on Instagram at D Speaks You Think. See you soon.
This week on The Kitchen.
Yeah. Kitchen. Yeah. Hold up. Tune in. All right.
You got Translate.
I just want to answer what y'all asking.
You got Great.
All right.
DJ DiBiase.
All right. Yeah. Hold up.
Chef Chrissy.
Yeah. Hold up. Tune in.
Porcelain Gold.
For the Grammy, yeah, I thought you know. The kitchen got the fix a nigga enjoy the show. Alright, well, that's the show, man. I thank y'all for coming. Then it was Thursday. Daytime, I hope you keep on.
God blessing me often. I'm still up in the apartment. I know they keeping my deposit. I got burn holes in the carpet.
All I know is old. All I know is bold. All I know is stoves. Nigga, flipping this out the dough.
Welcome back to Tech Tuesdays with Randy Fling. Hope everybody's enjoyed our first segment with Waldron. We're back, and our second segment is with Ryan Wilson, a good friend of mine from, for those of us in Atlanta and many of you who have come here, he's one of the founders of the Gatehering Spot, and he's also one of Ebony's, was it called the Power 100? I went out to L.A. last week, and lo and behold, who was one of the honorees but Ryan and his partner TK. So congratulations again to you guys on receiving that honor as well. So let's talk a little bit about the Gatehering Spot for those who don't know. Give us, well, I tell you what, we're going to start. I like to start at the beginning. No, I like to kind of start at the beginning. Okay. Yeah, tell us where the vision for the Gatehering Spot came from, and then you can progress into what it is today.
Sure. So I started the business out of my apartment in Washington, D.C., and it was really inspired by a couple of different things that were going on at the same time. The first thing, I was working with a lot of community orgs, and would go to coffee shops and restaurants and get that tap on my shoulder of like, hey, you've been here way too long. You need to go. And then past that, on the social side, my apartment in D.C. was really small, and it was hard to find places to gather, whether, with a small group of friends or for larger functions. And so I started talking about that problem with one of my college roommates. We went to a couple of private clubs and city clubs, saw that the model really hadn't changed that much from our grandparents' years, and started out creating what is now the Gatehering Spot. So,
okay. Well, tell us what it is now. We know what it is here.
So the Gatehering Spot at its core is a invitation-only private membership club. There's 3 parts of the space: event space, a restaurant and bar, and co-working space. But I'd say more than the physical aspects of what the club is, it's really about the community of people that are in and out of the club. So we host a lot of different events that are anything from full seated plated dinners to cocktail parties to music performances, through our dining room, you can eat there, and then on the work side, we bring together people with the opportunity to work together. So I spend my day each day trying to figure out different ways to bring people together, which is, I think, pretty cool.
No, that sounds like a lot of fun. The people over there that I've met all enjoy the co-sharing space. Let's talk, I guess that's one of the other elements that plays a big role in startup businesses, period, certainly technology businesses, but any startup business. If you're not going to work from home, you got to have some place to go. So, I mean, tell us a little bit about the kind of people who are in your co-working space.
So on the work side, it's really interesting. You'll see the full spectrum of what the city has to offer, and that's intentional. We spend a lot of time trying to make sure that there's balance inside of the club. So there are entrepreneurs that are there that are starting a number from tech businesses to really anything else. You'll see a number of creatives, so that's people working in film and music and TV, that are using the space for either meetings with their teams or for isolated work. And then we have the traditional business community that likes to have a space that's outside of maybe their office, where they can go. I mean, our co-working space never closes, and so it gives people the opportunity, like me, like I work late into the night. It gives people an opportunity to have a space to do that as well. So our membership base is 24 to 86 at this point.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
you'll see, if you spend a long enough time there, a little bit of everybody.
Fantastic. Man, that sounds like fun. Man, that's, like you're having fun and making money at the same time. Tell us a little bit about the future. Well, I mean, it's a great space. I've been there for many events myself, through political organizations that use the space for things, to parties and music events, to, you name it.
I mean, so the plan for us from the very beginning was to expand the concept to other markets. And so we are going to open 2 new physical locations next year in Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles. And beyond that, there are a couple of new events and programs that we're excited to announce. We'll do that at the top of the year. But the thing that I've been working most aggressively on is our expansion into D.C. and L.A. And so that will give our members here the opportunity when they travel to go to the other clubs that we will have open, but we'll also be curating communities in those cities as well.
Do you know what parts of those are you?
Yeah, so both in both in DC the location is downtown DC,
Okay.
and then in Los Angeles we're in Hollywood. So
Okay. So good. You're in the mix. You'll be. Do you consider yourself a competitor to some of the other, to the WeWorks or the or more so the clubs? I mean, because you're kind of a mix of both. I mean,
Yeah.
there's and not that the clubs don't, some of them, I mean, like the 191 Club, let's just say here in Atlanta, the Chamber, I guess they're called now. They've combined.
Yeah, not exactly. I mean, I think that there's a different approach to how we curate experiences for the membership, and therefore, I mean, the type of people that you'll see in our space and the mix of people, there's just a different thesis there. On the co-working side, although we have co-working space, we're not a co-working space in the sense that, to me, what I think is one of the best benefits of being a member of the club is the community that you have access to, in addition to the space, but it isn't the space before the community, if that makes sense. And so we don't see ourselves as being one-to-one competitors with any co-working space, or in many instances, many of the private clubs either.
Got it. Do you guys have you had any demo days over there or pitch competitions in the facility? It's funny, I was at, they call it the Big Demo Day this past week over at the Garage, which was my first time at that facility. Nice facility.
Yeah,
it was
awesome.
all women. I think they had 11 of them, all women, 11 women of color demoing. And it wasn't a competition so much. It was not a competition. It was simply a way for them to demo and show and talk about what their products and companies were doing. And some had products, some had services, but it was very interesting. And I think in particular, I personally, and I'll say this, I've said it once before, I think that a predominance of the best ideas that are going to move society forward are going to come from women entrepreneurs in technology.
Absolutely.
It's always been a male-dominated industry, the engineering and technology side of it. But you look at people like Jewel Burks and people who aren't from the tech space but have figured out, okay, I've got this problem. It needs solving. They see it from a different perspective than men who have been sitting here trying to solve it or half solved it for the last, like you say, 50 years or whatever. And all of a sudden they say, no, this is still a problem. And they have the vision to see that solution and to then get with whoever the tech people are, whether it's the male or female or whomever, and see it through. So
no, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, and to that point, we 60% of our membership base at the club are women, and that's a very, very intentional effort because if you look at country clubs or city clubs over time, it's they don't have the reputation for being overly inclusive. And so from the beginning, we set a threshold that at no point would we fall below 60% of the membership base being women. And so it's extremely important to us and something that our team works hard on. If you're interested in being a member of the club as a man, I mean, we'll look at the application, but having women be represented and celebrated inside of the club is something that's really important to us.
Yeah, that's great to know. Give us an idea, if you don't mind, just like what's the price range so people know when you're coming to DC or these, if you have never been a member of a club, so people know what it means, what the real offering is that they get in terms of, you've got a great restaurant there, great food, great events, but give an idea of the offering to people.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I think one of the main benefits, I mean, if you can kind of look at it in two ways. So, in the first way, there's on access to space, right? And so, yes, you have to be a member in order to dine at the club. You have to be a member to work inside of the club. And then we curate north of 20 experiences a month that are included in your membership. So, that's anything from more networking sort of events to content events where you can get information about things that you ordinarily wouldn't be exposed to, or social experiences where you just get to come and meet good people. So I'd say outside of the space piece, though, it really is being in community with a group of people that we spend a lot of time thinking about how to put together. So you're entering into a network instantly where there are new professionals that are working on companies. There are seasoned professionals that work at some of the largest businesses in town. And, I mean, there are creatives that have made and produced some of the music and films that you would watch anyway. And so our goal is to put them all in one group, in one space, and watch the connections that come from that framework. So.
No, and I've certainly, was over there recently for a couple of events, and I have to say I've ran into a lot of really good people, some who I knew and hadn't seen in a long time, and some who became new friends within the space. So if a person wants to be a member, let me just ask it this way. Does a membership gives you the right to be a member of the club and the restaurant and access to the 24-hour space? But then you can go from there if you want your own space and that kind of thing?
Exactly. So membership gets you access to the physical parts of the space and then to any events that we host. Again, there's 20 plus a month that are specific to members at the club. And so being a member gets you access to all of that plus work and dining.
Got it. Do you mind giving a price range?
Oh, no, no, not at all. So it's $2,400 for the year. You can break that out monthly, which is $200 a month. If you're under 30, it's $100 a month.
Okay.
And those are the only. We wanted to make sure that everyone was basically on an even playing field inside of the club, and so those are the only two ways to participate as a member.
Fantastic. And for those of you who don't know, I've been a member of other clubs, and they're more. They're a lot more, and their prices are particularly high as well when you go, because in the way it is there is like other membership clubs, the member pays. Am I right?
So we've made some changes there, right? And this is Tech Tuesday, so I could throw in a little bit of technology here. So no, I mean, it kind of works like Uber inside of the club.
Okay.
Members have a profile that's tied to our system, and so when you're done, you can get up and care for everyone's bill. But we also have provided the opportunity to allow individuals that are with you to care for whatever expenses they have in the restaurant. they can't eat without you, but they can pay separately from you.
Yeah, so I owe my friend a dinner. I didn't know that. I got up and left. I thought I was all good. I thought he had to pay because I'm clubs I've been a member of, when a member invites you in, you have to, and again, you have to wait at the door till that member, that member puts you on the list to join. I really thought he had to pay. So
I mean,
bro, I owe you a dinner.
I'm sure he wanted to, but I mean, from a tech perspective, we wanted to push that a little bit farther, right? So
I like it.
we don't have physical membership cards. Everything is done through your phone. You can use your phone to open doors inside of the space. You can use your phone to communicate with us to see what events are inside of the club. We have beacons all over the club that are setting how long people are in spaces.
Okay.
So, for example, if you were sitting here, I would know how long you sat in this chair. And if you really hate ice in your water, I would know that too. So a member of our team would never bring you water with ice. So we use a lot of technology to help improve the member experience day to day. Even when you check into the club, it sends the member a text message saying that their guest is here. So you don't have to go and you go into a restaurant and you're looking around trying to figure out who you're meeting. We simplified that system and have a process in place where all of that is digital and sent to your phone.
No, you're right, because he did say he got a text when I came to the club that day, and I had been there a lot of times for events, but until recently I actually hadn't been into the member events until probably 30 days ago, 40 days ago, and I've been maybe 3 times since. But the events have all been good. One of which was a reception for you and TK before you ran off to LA to receive your award.
Thanks for coming.
But no, great. I like that. I think using those kind of things, which aren't being used at any of the other facilities I have been to, even when I've been someone's guest in New York, Soho House, for example, I'm sure you're familiar with. And the other thing I will say about your club I like is that, Soho House is kind of like you've got to, if you can't take any phone calls. Now, you guys don't have that rule, right? I've never seen anybody get poo-pooed for not using their phone.
You can take phone calls. You can't take pictures, but you can use your phone.
Use your phone. Some of these other places are you literally cannot take a phone call. And I understand people don't want to be disturbed and everybody's there having their own important meeting and that kind of thing. But I've always thought that was just a little much in today's world that you can't take a phone call. Well, look, we're gonna. I want to talk a little bit. I'm gonna start here and talk a little bit about some events because again, you guys have events. I don't think any of these on my list today are. Say what? Are on here. I don't see that we have you on here. And before I even go into any of these events, if there's any that you think that are public that you want to share that you can think of, feel free. I don't want to.
I'll say there's something that happens at the club like every day. Right. So I don't have anything on the top of my mind, but there's stuff all the time.
There's stuff there all the time. There's certainly stuff around Atlanta all the time and around the country. And again, I've got a few things going on here in Atlanta, and I'm going to do much, much better. We're going to get some stuff in the other major markets that tend to follow rolling out, and hopefully are following me here and us here on Tech Tuesdays. But in Atlanta, Wednesday, tomorrow at Gordon Biersch, we've got the Atlanta Technology Jingle Mingle. So it's the 5th annual event. Come on out. It's a tech meetup. Gordon Biersch, 3242 Peachtree. Come out, have a few drinks, toast 2018. It's $20. And, it should be a nice event. The following day, we've got Driven Technologies, a bourbon tasting at Local 3. And it's from 3 to 6 at Local 3 Kitchen and Bar, 3290 Northside Parkway. Anyway, you can RSVP at driventechnologies.com/bourbon tasting. And we're going to run to our next break, and we'll see you back in 2 minutes.
Hey everyone, it is your favorite politician, Representative Erica Thomas, and I'm excited to tell you about the Erica Thomas Show, where we break down news and politics in layman terms where everybody can understand it. We start off the show with hip hop and politics, where we might interview your favorite celebrity and we break down hip hop and let you know that it's the same thing as politics, baby. And also coming up after that, we have kids and politics, where we bring on your favorite kid stars and they tell us all about how they feel about politics. And then right after that is the hit list, where we tell you about the fails of the week. Who failed this week in the news and who do we need to know about? It's all happening at 6 o'clock every single Tuesday. I said 6 o'clock every single Tuesday. So you better tune in. You better tune in. You better not miss it. I mean, you better not miss it. The Erica Thomas Show is on live.
What if I told you it was okay to be different? Or it's better to hustle more than you talk? Or that it doesn't matter what people think of you because nobody asked them for their opinion in the first place? Introducing Outspoken Clothes, the in-your-face, unapologetic clothing line. Check us out at outspokenclothes.com and sign up for our newsletter to get exclusive deals. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Outspoken Clothes.
Back. Welcome back to Tech Tuesdays. Hope you're enjoying our show so far and that you've enjoyed both of my guests today, Ryan and Waldron. Waldron over here and Ryan over there for those of you who might be just joining us. McCritty,
Yes, sir.
get your
Yes,
last
sir.
name
Yes,
correct,
sir.
and Ryan Wilson from the Gathering Spot. And Waldron's with Be Lux, which he's launching in time for the Super Bowl. And it's for all you people who want luxury accommodations and are used to, saying the word and getting what you want. He's got an app that's going to get you a dog walker, get your food delivered, get it cooked for you, make the party for you, whatever it is you want. If you're ready to live the life, he's ready to deliver it for you and get it to you.
Absolutely.
So I ended the last segment. I announced a couple of events going on. I'm going to finish that part up. We've got an Apple Entrepreneur Camp, and it's for organizations that are founded or led by women. Earlier in the segment, I said I think women are going to lead this tech revolution for the next 50 years. I think, I think it takes new and diverse visions on technology for it to really continue to accelerate at the speed it has. It's January 28th to February 8th. The Apple Entrepreneur Camp consists of an immersive technology lab as well as mentorship, education, and support. Selected organizations will receive one-on-one code-level guidance from Apple engineers at a 2-week technology lab in Cupertino, California. Ongoing support from an Apple developer representative for at least 1 year. 1 year of membership in the Apple Developer Program, and up to 2 tickets to WWDC for the woman founder, co-founder, or CEO and women developer. And I don't know what WWDC is, but they'll let us know in just a minute. If you'd like to apply, go to www.developer.apple.com and you can get more information. And you only have 3 days. So I'm sure this is available nationwide. You've got 3 days until December 14th. Again, www.developer.apple.com.
Worldwide Developers Conference.
Oh, WWDC is Worldwide Developers Conference. I think that's where Apple always makes their big announcements and the head of Apple comes and all that stuff. I think they do it once a year or twice a year. So it's worth it just for tickets to that. All right, let's talk about some trending topics. Google Home and Amazon Echo can store your voice recordings. For those of you who didn't know it, You know, it's really nice to have an Alexa in the house and all that, but they do record it. And so recently a judge ordered Amazon to hand over voice recordings from one of their company-made devices, the Echo, in hopes of solving a double homicide case in the state of New Hampshire. The defendant ended up handing over the recordings, and the case ended up getting dropped due to lack of evidence. But what that should tell you, you know, as much as you may think what you say in your home is private, and I know the theory is that these devices listen just a little bit and that they are supposed to delete the recordings until they hear Alexa. Or on your phone, of course, it's the same thing when you say, okay, Google, or Siri. The reason they know you said it is that they're listening to you all the time. That's the only way they can do it. You know, I mean, I'm involved in a safety app. When it comes out, it's listening all the time because you're going to be able to use your voice to, you know, basically alert your friends and get some help without having to reach for your phone. So yes, that's what the apps do. The question always for most people is, what does that mean for my privacy? Is it really listening? Could it be communicating all those things? And I can give you the short answer is the answer every organization says is, of course not. No, we don't do that. We don't hold any. And, you know, we all know that in time we'll see, you know, just how true that is or you know, where it really stands.
Can I bring something up with
Sure,
that point?
absolutely.
And so also I saw an article or read an article about Facebook and WhatsApp. And so that's a communication app also as well. And so there was a ruling, I don't know if it was Supreme Court or not, but a similar case where they were trying to use a person's information that was used, recordings, for a case against a person, and they ruled against it. And this was setting a precedent in similar cases because the Justice Department was trying to use these types of intrusion of communication technology, trying to intrude upon a person's personal conversations in building these cases. And so it was definitely a major issue. And it's, as these technologies kind of come about, it's going to be something that's seen, I think, more and more.
Yeah, I talk about privacy, you know, every week on the show. I think that we all have to be real conscious and know. And I think most people have, you know, particularly, and I think it is age-based somewhat, but most people have just decided, you know, I want my phone to do everything. And whatever I agree to, I'm just going to agree to it and have all the apps I want. And what happens is going to happen. And there's not, you know, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that attitude. It's not one that I happen to share. But I think, you know, how do you not do that? How do you live your best life and use your device that you've paid a lot of money for to its best use if you're not going to use the apps that are on there? But, you know, your data just becomes so in so many places. You know, one Uber ride results in, I believe it's 37, but it may be 27 points of data that they collect from one Uber ride. You know, it's not just the stars you give. It's how long the car took to get there. It's you know, how old you were, how old the driver was. It's you know, where did you do pool? You know, what stops got made? Did you get there on time? It's there's just all these separate data points that they take in, and they're just one. I mean, they're a leader in that regard. They pull in all that data, and now their big thing is that they have to train the machines to understand it and what they're going to do with the data to improve the service. So, because, you know, humans can't possibly, they do 20 million rides a day times 37. We don't know the number. Let's know how we could potentially do it. So they have machines going through all those business data points and figuring out the best way and the best place to put cars, et cetera. But every company's doing it. I mean, Google, obviously, you know, with search, and what's a good search. I mean, that's been their whole business for not their whole business by a long way. Let me back up. But that's the interface that we see with Google. You know, it's searching for something, and you know, every day they're trying to figure out a better way to make their searches better. So, do we have any questions today from the audience? That have come in? Anybody on Facebook?
One question, but I think it's already been answered. How does one receive an invitation for membership at the Gathering Spot? Will McCready said, "Look at my nephew. Keep doing that thing, young man."
Thanks, Uncle.
All right. Do we? Okay.
Are there student rates for the Gathering Spot?
So if you reach out and go through our process, which to answer that question, everything begins and ends online. If you go to our website, reach out to our membership team, they'll get back in touch with you.
Right. So is that the way we apply? Or do I have to be invited? You know, some clubs you got to be invited
So-
by a member.
So you don't only have to be invited by a member. You can pursue becoming a member of the club by yourself. You go on our website and request an invitation, and from that point on, it'll kind of walk you through the process. But the short version of it is that our team will review your application, invite you to an interview. After the interview, we go back and make decisions on trying to, again, maintain that balance inside of the club. And so fairly extensive process, but again, on the other side of it, what you get is a phenomenal community of people who are together.
Another question. So I'm going to repeat the question. Go ahead. Say it.
Does the club vote on the new member?
The question was, does the club vote on the new member, or does the staff at the club vote on the new member?
So there's a membership team. So our membership director and her team is primarily responsible for vetting, but there is a membership committee that also participates in the process.
Great.
So it's a hybrid of those.
Any? I'm sorry. I was gonna say. Oh, I'm sorry. Is a question?
Yes.
Yes. So the question is, how can they? And I'll let you repeat it and then answer it.
Okay, the question was, how can someone receive our application? And so right now, we're still in the beta testing phase. You can go to our website or email me. The website is www.beluxllc.life. That's belux.life. And so we'll be sending out subscriptions or more information about the application once it's publicly available.
Great. Now I'm looking, and right now you're hoping for a launch date just before Super Bowl. Like
Absolutely.
A week before, maybe.
Absolutely. That's definitely going to be a critical time, I think, in the city. And as I was saying, we're also going to be going from there to Silicon Valley in San Francisco. So we want to kind of keep that momentum going right on through that.
Yeah, because I want some tickets to a suite for the Super Bowl. Can you get them for me?
Actually,
I've been in touch. My Lux life.
I've been in touch with the VIP. There's a VIP team for the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and for State Farm Arena. So I do have some contacts.
No, that's good. No, I mean, it makes sense. You're going to be providing, if not for the Super Bowl, but for, people want those things on a regular basis. Have you guys attended any interesting events? I can't ask you that question because, damn, that's every day. Excuse me. But any things that you're aware of that people in tech should really be aware of and thinking about?
Absolutely. I think right now Atlanta's a very hot spot. As you guys are kind of mentioning, tomorrow I'm going to be at a pitch session with Alpharetta called 1 Million Cups in Alpharetta with the Alpharetta technology sector. Tech Square, Atlanta Tech Village, the ATDC out of Georgia Tech, the Garage. There's so many different things going on in the technology space and for innovators and entrepreneurs, men and women, people of color, everyone that's getting involved and wants to be in a creative space. There's something going on.
There is. There's Tech Square Labs, which Paul Judge, who's an African-American brother, has is a place I would also suggest. Rodney Sampson has a space and events going on. He's well known in this community. So if anybody is, for those of you in Atlanta, and if you're a person of color, I do highly suggest that you reach out. And Rodney's place escapes my mind at this time.
Opportunity Hub.
Opportunity Hub. Yes, Thank you, Ryan. Opportunity Hub. And Paul Judge's space over at, which is Tech Square Labs. They have co-working. They've got companies that are making noise, that are, different than what Ryan has at Gathering Spot. They're more focused on tech-only businesses over there. If you're looking for developers and that's the community you're trying to become a part of, I suggest reaching out for some of them. And I'm sure in the other cities there's similar places, but Atlanta, did read that somebody said for people looking for tech talent, Atlanta did make the list of the top 5 cities. I think we're probably number 5 of the 5, but we made the top 5 list for tech talent, which I thought was pretty outstanding, and I'm sure it's because of Southern Tech, Georgia Tech. Not to mention, for those of you that might be students, there's a fantastic program at the AU Center between Clark, Morehouse, Spelman, where you can go there for 3 years, and then you go to Georgia Tech for 2 years, and you get a degree from both places. So then you've got your liberal arts degree in whatever it may be, as well as you could have an engineering degree from Georgia Tech without having to suffer for all those years.
Physics or
like I did. Or who? Oh, or North Carolina A&T. Okay, they also have that program, and they're also going to be here they're in the Celebration Bowl this weekend. Congrats to North Carolina AT&T and Elkhorn State. So I'm sure the tech side is that somebody will probably stream the game, but it will be televised. Well, maybe not, because it's being televised on ABC. It's the HBCU championship here at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium Saturday at 12 o'clock. So watch that on ABC, folks. That's our non-tech tip of the day. Privacy. How do you guys feel about privacy in what you do? And how do you protect your members' privacy?
Well, there are a couple of things that we do. I mean, most important thing is all information that we have is encrypted and is once kind of inputted into our vault. Nobody, including myself, has access to any sensitive data. So we take that really seriously. It feels weird to talk about what you do to protect your information. But there are other strategies that we have in terms of how you access our servers that protects all of that data too from an outsider, in trying to get it. I think, to the other conversation though around how much information is being collected on us, I guess I'm in the camp of there's so much information out there on me, and unless you're specifically targeting me, it's at a point now where it's like,
don't matter.
Yeah, I kind of given up, I guess. Where if you're gonna come and get me, probably gonna figure out a way to do it. I mean, I have an Amazon Echo, and my phone, I'm sure, is listening and watching where I'm going, and so at this point, I don't know. I'm hoping that there's too much data that is being collected from everyone that it kind of would be too difficult to start to specifically target me or any individual. But
how you feel about that?
So I have an interesting, I would say, outlook on that. Just coming from the military and my military background, I feel I have a little bit of a conspiracy theorist kind of outlook on it, and so I'm heavy into technology, but I'm also big in the thought of Big Brother kind of overlooking my shoulder, and so I definitely think that it's something huge, and especially like you were saying with all the things, even you mentioned it with the data points just from taking an Uber, and so you imagine all the different, like with us, we're doing pretty much on-demand services, so people are calling all kinds of different services for different things, and so you're learning all kinds of data points about a person's life, and so I think that's a double-edged sword, absolutely, and so I think it's something that it definitely has to be kind of taken with caution, but there's only but so much you can do, to your point as well. So you just have to live carefully, and of course, if you're doing anything bad or illegal, that's just dumb, and doing it in a manner where you're somewhere public and your information can kind of show what you're doing is twice as bad. So you just got to be smart, really, honestly.
Yeah, that's true, because Big Brother's watching in so many ways. Clear, and I joined Clear so I could get through the airport fast, but they've actually realized what their platform is. It's not just airports. They're in the stadiums now. They're in the membership club, in the Delta Sky Club. Instead of having to pull out all your ID, you can either let them see your fingerprints, And one day my fingers weren't working real good at clearing, so then I could just put my eyes on there.
Oh, wow.
Because they've already done the iris scan as well.
That's awesome.
So, no, it's a great convenience. I love not having to go through lines at the airport. But, you know, I've had a lot of friends say, no, that's too much information. You know, that's too much. You can never get away now.
They already got it.
You know,
Yeah,
you know, it's no easy way to get off the grid. I mean, I think we're all on the grid. I don't think there's a way off the grid. I mean, you know, none that I'm interested in. Let me phrase it that way. That most people would be interested in. We're going to be looking forward to the launch.
Absolutely.
I wish you the very, very best success. I hope that I'll be writing about you and reading about you in major publications and in the tech world, and that your adventure in Silicon Valley really rewards you well as well. Ryan, continued success. I'm looking forward to the club being in some other cities because I travel to D.C. and L.A. both on a very regular basis. So I'm excited. I'm going to have to go and become a member myself. So I have a place. You know, if Ryan don't give me too many bad marks and lets me in, you know, if I qualify. I know I'm not a woman, but, you know, if I can qualify, and that way I can have a home when I go to D.C., a place where I'm most comfortable, because I'm sure I will be, because I've seen the way they create the environments, that they're for us by us. Let's enjoy the for us by us in our professional lives. And without going to break, okay. Yes, social media. Let me ask you.
So you can find us online at thegatheringspot.club or on all social media platforms, The Gathering Spots.
And we are at BeLux LLC, Be Lux LLC.
And I'm Randy Fling on Instagram. We're good? All right. Thank you for joining us today.